Good evening, Fernwood. It is your next channel neighbor, Neil, and it's time for us to get suburban with another episode of Mary Hartman. Mary Hartman. We are at T-minus 8 weeks from the end of the series with episode 286 from May 9th, 1977. Last week tore my emotions to shreds, so I think we better relive it. The sinister fog that has lowered itself over Fernwood is a group called the Glorious Guardians of Good, who are a secret white supremacist group led by Vernon Bales and Police Chief Texas. Now, they're the only two racists in the group, but everyone else thinks that they are in a social club. Tex himself has taken on 2 murders in the show. That's Howie Freeze and Janitor Dewey, and they are framing Tom Hartman for the murder of Dewey. They have enlisted lawyer Nat Dearborn to defend Tom, but that's mostly because they think that Nat is completely incompetent. Now, Nat feels that Tom is completely sincere in his anger, though he hasn't really heard Tom's story, because Tom threw him out when he found out that Nat was being paid by the GGG. Now, with regard to the Jeters, Wanda has been very jealous of the attention that Merle Jeter is paying to Mary Hartman by hiring her for a job as his secretary, and we will have more on Wanda in a few moments. Loretta and Charlie Haggers have been working hard to civilize their feral child who was raised by Bigfoot. Loretta visited Wanda to get some advice about keeping the child out of school, but Wanda mainly recommended that Loretta take a firm hand in spanking the child for discipline. Since then, Loretta and Charlie have been making better progress, and they even found a name for the kid, John Doe. Kathy Shumway has moved out of the apartment, leaving it to Martha, and Max Slattery, Kathy's boyfriend, has declared he's no longer Kathy's boyfriend and has made clear his intentions to Martha that he has romantic feelings for her. Martha is somewhat hesitant about this, and she's married still, but she does like the idea of having a fling. Back home, though, George Shumway misses his wife quite dearly and is angry that she's seeing Mac. Kathy has encouraged him to find a new direction in his life, and that seems to be as an inventor. And then we are coming to the title couple of this show. Mary Hartman came face to face with her former lover, Dennis Foley. She tries to be cordial about it, but he is as entranced with her as he has ever been. Mary is much more focused on improving things for Tom while he's in jail, and has brought items to him to help brighten up the cell. At home, Mary is struggling with Heather, who would like to be treated as a grown-up and is going through a rebellious phase. Mary is also getting daily phone calls from Dennis, ostensibly about Tom, and Merle Jeters keeps roping Mary into his orbit. For instance, hiring her to be his secretary. Mary finally made clear to both men that she loves Tom and that she is going to stand by him. On his end, Tom has been miserable in jail, and his depression keeps getting darker and deeper. Wanda visited him in his cell, and in trying to comfort him, they ended up having sex. Tom feels awful about betraying Mary, and Wanda isn't sure if there's anything more to their tryst. Last Friday started with Charlie and Loretta continuing JD's cultural learning process. They taught him how to use a spoon and a hairbrush and how to brush his teeth, but it proves to be too much for the child and he runs off. And that's right as Ms. Finkel, the social worker, shows up, wondering about JD's progress. The Haggers cover for their missing boy as they hear the screech of tires, and an irate driver drags JD back in. Ms. Finkel notes that JD doesn't even have the skill to tie his own shoes and suggests he may be developmentally disabled, and that the Haggers may be blinded by their love for him, and that if they can't take better care of him, that he will be taken away to an institution. At the jail, Mary is helping Tom get ready for his hearing. Mary asks Tom if he misses sex with her as much as she misses it with him. Tom, possibly in his guilt over sleeping with Wanda the night before, brings up the name of Dennis Foley. Mary pushes back at Tom, saying that he shouldn't need to bring up Dennis, and they have a little squabble until Tom realizes that his pants are getting burned. Mary leaves Tom in the presence of Vernon and Tex, who make very clear to Tom that if he tells the truth on the stand, that they will kill Heather and Mary. We come back to the courtroom where Dr. Williams is introducing himself to the court as Tom's friends and family enter. Dr. Williams makes clear that he believes that Tom is delusional, and Mary says she knows crazy and she knows Tom, and Tom ain't crazy. Nat Dearborn then calls Vernon to the stand, where he tells bald-faced lies about Tom having burned down Dewey's shack, and it seems that the court believes him. As Tom is being sworn in, he sees Dennis Foley enter the courtroom and is a bit taken aback by that. Then Nat asks Tom exactly what happened on the night of the fire, and Tom looks around the room and sees his neighbors and his loved ones, his friends and family, and his enemies, the two men that threatened Mary and Heather. And Tom says that when it comes to the events of that night, he forgot. Everyone, last week and especially last Friday hit me really hard, so I think the best thing to do is just press play.
Mary Hartman! Mary Hartman!
Tom Hartman to the stand. Order! Raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? Well, do you?
What? Oh, yeah, sure.
State your name.
Thomas Hartman.
Be seated.
Hey, Mr. Hartman, your family, your friends, your neighbors have come here this morning to hear your side of the story. And I'm sure you're anxious to tell them and the court what actually happened on that night in question. So please proceed.
I don't remember.
I think he's talking lies. I know.
We got a vulnerable right
I know he remembers
Well, 10 to 20 years isn't such a long time.
It isn't?
Yeah, it is. And I'm sorry because I wish I could do something.
There's some reason that he didn't say something. He could have cleared himself, and he didn't. But why?
Maybe he's guilty.
I think I know what happened. It's blockage. This is what's called blockage. It's when something happens to you, and it's so terrible that you don't want to remember it, so your brain just blocks it away. That's what I think happened to Tom. I think that the memory of what he saw was just so painful for him, but just so painful for him that he had to block it away.
Mary, I know how alone you feel.
Tom, 20 years in prison. This is like, it's like blindfolding him and making him fly into a door. Dennis, he won't make it. I mean, he won't make it.
Mary, I know how you feel. And I want you to know that if there's any time that you need me, I'm here.
All he had to do was say that he didn't do it.
And this is going to be hard, but I would also like you to believe in my innocence.
Look at him, Charlie. He wants to get outside. Darling, honey, you can't go outside now. Come on, sugar. Come with us. We're going to have a good old time. We'll play some games. You want to play a little Monopoly or Tiddlywinks or pick up sticks? Come on. Sit down. Come on.
Well, don't be so sorrowful, Johnny Doe. We don't like it any more than you do.
Darling, honey, you could go outside. We wouldn't care. You could do everything that seems natural to you outdoors and all, but you're liable to get run over with a truck, darling. Then Miss Finken's people come and take you away from us. Hon, we're going to do everything to make you happy here. We really are, darling.
Loretta? Something is amiss. I mean, something is amiss with this boy, honey. He hasn't jumped around or growled or howled once since we came in here.
Well, darling, maybe he's got the flu, you know. Darling, do you have the flu, huh? Do you?
His forehead is cool. Honey, but his nose is hot.
Charlie, you feel a dog's nose, not a child's. And anyway, we're not supposed to remind him of the harsh animal-like existence he had out in the forest, remember? Darling, everything's going to be just fine. It'll be fine.
This boy looks to me like he had a very bad case of what we used to call back in Camp Wimoway, homesick.
Oh, Charlie, hon, that's crazy to me. He can't be homesick. I mean, you saw the way he went over to the door and everything. It's just kind of, you know, halfway and everything, not like he used to, just slamming around here like a jackrabbit on fire.
Well, I don't know. That looks like homesick to me, sweetheart.
Well, if you think he is homesick, maybe we could, you know, kind of make the house more like forest-like and everything, you know, like the outside. We could get some of them stump-like plants over here and some potted bushes and stuff, and maybe them vine philodendrons or dendrons or whatever they are, and like put them all over the, you know, across the
Sweetheart,
things
but the
up there,
idea,
and stones and...
the idea of the whole thing, baby, is we're supposed to bring the boy to civilization, not the other way around. I don't know what to do. I tell you what. Do you think we ought to maybe take Miss Finken's advice after all and get that doctor to have a look at him?
Oh, for retardedness? Charlie, come on.
Well, I got an idea. What about Dr. Maddock, huh? He's got a Ph.D.
Well, I guess a PH is better than no D at all.
That's right. That's what we'll do. We'll get Dr. Maddock come over here and take a look at you. And meantime, I tell you what we'll do.
What?
We'll give him a little cure like we used to give him at Camp Wimaway for the homesick. We'll have a campfire and a ghost story. Come on, honey.
Oh,
Listen,
that sounds
I got to cover up the windows here. We got to get it dark. Dark.
I'll get some marshmallows.
Yeah, that's a good idea, sweetheart. Get some candles. Get some
Okay.
candles and matches and everything like that. Come on. There we go.
Here we go. I got it all. Oh, this is kind of fun.
Oh, in the pines, where the sun never shines, and you shiver when the cold wind blows. Come on, little Johnny Doe, come on.
Come on, darling. Oh, this is going to be fun, honey. Come on.
Come on, right down here, right down here. Well, we're going to clear us a little campfire here.
Have a little marshmallow.
Here, ladder up.
Hold this, darling. Hold it in your hand like this, okay?
Come on,
Hold
light
it.
up them candles. Here,
Okay.
here you go, Johnny Doe.
Oh.
Now then.
What about the TV?
Oh, turn on the TV. Yeah, that's a good idea.
'Cause
Just,
he likes
just to the
that
test
test
pattern
pattern.
and
Right.
give a little more ghostly light here. Although I don't know, honey.
Woo!
I don't think we ought to tell him a ghost story. Might be a little too scary for him. You know,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
his first time.
That's-
Let me think. I got it. Okay, you ready, Johnny Doe? Now listen to me. Where's your marshmallow there? Come on. Now then, once upon a time, there was these 3 bears.
Oh, Charlie, no animals. Okay.
Lumberjacks. There was these 3 lumberjacks.
Good.
There was the Papa Lumberjack and a Mama Lumberjack and a little bitty baby boy lumberjack.
Which is you.
And they had so much fun in the woods just being lumberjacks. I don't want to talk about woods too much, but Johnny Doe, and this is the best part coming up now. Don't miss the best part, because one day when all the lumberjack family was out chopping wood, then comes this little goldy-haired girl to the door, and her name was Goldilocks, because she had long golden hair like your mama here.
Hey, man, don't be that way. Yeah, look at all these pretty elephants.
Those are hippopotamuses.
I just come by to thank you for being so damn polite, you know, in court and all. What's the matter? Did you take my threat serious?
Just leave me alone, will you?
Tom.
Just a minute. We'll be there in a minute, okay? Look, since you're such a nice guy, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna give you an extra long visiting period, okay? I mean, hell, you gave up your freedom and your good name for the woman. The least I can do is give you a little extra time with her, you know?
Hey, shut up.
Hi, Tom. How are you? It's okay. You really don't have to answer me. I just came to say hello to you, that's all. Actually, there was one little thing on my mind, and I was just, remember all those old Perry Mason stories where they used to have this damning evidence and just to pile up and just, it would mount higher and higher and all this damning evidence, legally speaking, I mean. Well, that's okay. I mean, you know, once you've seen them, one of them, you know, you've seen all of them. It's just that's what I thought that you were gonna do. Because you see, I remembered at those trials what he used to do is all of a sudden Perry used to say, I have proof that, you know, on the night of the strangling that my client was starring in the ice capades, and then, you know, the whole prosecution would fall apart and.
You don't understand.
Were you waiting for more damning evidence?
I told you, you don't understand.
See, well, I was just hoping that, you know, since I'm, thought to myself, well, look, you know, you're his wife, and, you know, you mothered his child, and, you know, since you stood by him by everything, like, just maybe clue you in, you know.
I know it sounds crazy, Mary, I know. Believe me, I know best.
I love you, Tom.
Hey, just do me a favor, don't. Watch out for Vernon and Texas. That's all I can say.
But I thought you were going to say that in court.
Hey, Hartman. Hey, I'm sorry, man. I know I told you you could have a little extra time and all. Hell, I've been overruled.
They want you to leave now in order to get up to the Capitol in time. You're being transferred to the county. I'm sorry.
Couldn't you give us just a little more time together? I mean, just a little more time. I've just been terrible in nagging him about committing a crime that somebody else committed, and since you are going to take him away and you're going to be taken away for 20 years, I mean, can't you just give us the chance to say a proper goodbye to each other or something like that?
Right, come here. Come here and hug me. Hug me. Hug me. Hey, come here, Heather, come here. Hey, I want you to promise me that you take care of your mom, huh? Mm-hmm. Okay? All right, now listen. I'll see you in 10, kid, okay? Hmm? Promise me now, you take care of yourself. Just promise me. Promise.
Okay. I'll take Geritol every day. And I'm gonna write to you every day. I promise I will. I'll write you long, long letters. And I'll let you know everything that's going on. And I swear to you, barely know you aren't even here. Oh, Tom, you don't really have to go, do you? Please don't go.
Sweetheart, come on. Look, Foley, I tell you, stay away from her here.
I'll just take care of it, Tom. The way you'd want me to.
Thomas, as the mayor of the township of Fernwood here, I would like to present this here key to the city as a token of our concern to you. I might add that this ain't gonna open up many doors for you where you're going, But on the other hand, I just hope it'll act as a reminder of all the doors that are open to you where you come from.
"20 years isn't all that much."
On behalf of the GGG, I'd like to express my grief and the wish we could have done more. Wear it in health.
Folks, if I could ask everybody to just bow your head here for a second. Lord, I think it's the wish of everybody in this here jail cell that you watch over Tom Hartman. He's a good man, albeit a guilty man. And also watch over little Mary and Heather, his beloved family. Amen.
We're all guilty men, Merle. Let's go, come on.
You got all your things?
He's a beautiful man. I wish I understood him.
Goodbye, Daddy.
Yeah, I think I got everything.
Wait. Tom Hartman is an innocent man. All the evidence has not been weighed.
Wanda, darling, I think we saw all the exhibits and heard all the testimony.
No, not quite. There was a witness at the scene of the crime. Someone who has not yet spoken.
You know who's the witness?
I am the witness. I was in that shack the night it burned to the ground.
What? And this explains why Wanda was thinking about Tom so much. And while I didn't expect this one to get me so hard, I guess I didn't expect the last couple of episodes to hit me as hard as they have. But here we are, and I'll take it back to the top because Tom starts right where we ended last Friday, making the choice to save his family at the cost of his own freedom. And then we see Mary and Dennis, and it's sort of two things because Mary is just trying to figure out why Tom didn't defend himself. And as Mary is fed by two different streams of information, she's fed by popular culture, usually soap operas, and she's fed by the magazines, which are part of pop culture. She at first thinks that there's some reason that Tom didn't testify. Then she hooks it up to pop psychology. Essentially, she thinks that he's blocked it out of his memory. And she does try to talk to Tom, but, it's difficult to talk to someone who's in the lockup. Dennis, for his part, has two things that I notice about him. He's definitely trying to support Mary in her emotions, but he's still trying to wheedle his way into her affections. And then we see the Haggers with little JD, and JD seems to be in his own depression. He is not jumping around. They note it too. They realize that something has changed in their boy. Their issue is that they don't want him to be taken away by an institution. And they notice that JD has changed, and Charlie chalks it up to homesickness, which I think is accurate. because as much care as Loretta and Charlie can give to this kid, and they do really care, and they would really like for him to be able to go outside, but they're a bit concerned about his safety. Running into the street is dangerous. Potentially the other risk of him being taken away to that institution that Miss Finken said might happen. They've got to bring him to school too. That's not something that came up in the scene, but that's something that he's supposed to be doing. I don't know if we'll actually see scenes in the school, or if that just means that Loretta and Charlie will have scenes without him, but right now Loretta and Charlie are doing their best to be parents and finding it very challenging. And then we're back in the holding cell with Tom, and Tex might be sincerely thankful, but screw that guy. I think there was a bit where Tex suggests that the threat they made against Mary and Heather wasn't sincere. It didn't get played out exactly, but it was something to the effect of, did you really believe that threat? Tex is kind enough to promise Tom the benefit of getting extra time with Mary. This is the conversation, because Mary still doesn't understand why Tom did anything. And she asks, in her way, and Tom says you wouldn't understand, and just keeps the secret because he still feels that she is under threat. She and Heather are under threat. Then people start piling into the cell because Tom is going to get transferred to somewhere else, the county, and I suppose eventually down into the prison system. He's got 20 years for capital murder? First-degree murder, right? And everyone is saying their goodbyes to him, and Tom is in the room with the two men who are targeting Mary, right? Even though Mary has put up her wall, to see Dennis and Merle try to bang against that wall incessantly would be a stressor. Not to mention that Tex might still be willing to end her life. Then we continue the goodbyes, but they're interrupted as Wanda enters the cell, and I thought she might have something to say about having slept with Tom, but that's not it. There was a moment when Dewey at the telethon seemed fairly familiar with Wanda, and I think that this is what's going on. Wanda has evidence, and she was in the shack when it burned down. So everyone, we are in for some drama. I had chills and tears and lots of feelings going on. Thank you so much for watching with me. Thank you so much for leaving your thoughts, feelings, and impressions down in the comments. Thank you for getting suburban, and we will see you tomorrow night in Fernwood.